Greetings, everyone. This presentation is on soft skills, essential skills for success in employment. First of all, an introduction. I would like all of you to think about three questions. I'm going to give you three questions and ask you to formulate some answers in your mind. First one is, why do people work? What are some reasons why you think people work? So think about this. You may have a job right now as a high school student. Your sole job might be that of being a high school student, but eventually, if you're not working already, you will work. And I want you to think about, why do people work? Next question is, what helps employees to be successful in their work? So if you have a job right now, you probably see some of your employees or some of your coworkers being very successful and others not that successful. So I want you to think about what helps an employee to be successful in the work that they do, either now in a high school job or now as a high school student. What helps some students to be successful while others do not? And then the third question, similar, what hinders employees from being successful in their work? So what are some things that employees do or do not do that keeps them from being successful in their work? So you might ask, why are we spending time on this topic? So recently we learned about some careers working with young children. We even had some speakers come in and talk about various careers working with children. So this is kind of a continuation of that topic. But the other big reasons are that KEC, Kishwaukee Education Consortium, is here to help prepare high school students for future careers and entering the workplace. So we are called a career technical school, where students can come here and learn about careers, but we want to help students to be successful learning about those careers as well as entering the workforce. A second reason is that high school is a perfect opportunity for you as a high school students to be developing skills that will help you in your life and help you to be successful in your chosen careers. So I would like to encourage you as a high schooler to work on developing some of the skills that we're going to talk about today, because they will help you both to be a high school student and they will help you in your chosen career in the future. Finally, KEC is assessed on how well we do at helping students to learn these skills. So you may recall that you have taken a pretest on some career skills, and we're going to be doing a post-test later in the semester. So we want to see how well we are doing at helping you as a student to learn these skills. Next, I'm going to focus on how we're going to learn about this topic. So today we are going to be learning through either this video that you're watching or through our class teaching and class discussion. And then we're also going to watch some videos from the DeKalb County Community Foundation. I know videos are not always a student's favorite thing, but these are some really well done videos that I think will be fun to watch. They're going to be fun to laugh at a little bit, and they're going to help us to learn some essential skills to help you to be successful in a high school job or in a future job. Next is, how are we going to apply what we've learned? So I'm going to do something that I have not done in this class before, but I'm going to ask each of our students to write an essay answering the following questions. Question one is, what are soft skills and what are hard skills? So those are things that we're going to learn about shortly. Question two is, what are some soft skills and some hard skills that will help somebody be a successful teacher, a successful attorney, a plumber, etc. You'll get to choose which profession that you want to write about, so I would encourage you to choose something that you might be interested in doing in your future. And finally, you're going to kind of take a self-assessment of yourself and describe the soft and hard skills that you have that would help you to be successful in that profession. So you're going to be thinking about what skill set you have developed or are developing and how that might to help you be successful in that profession. I'm going to share additional information with our students regarding the length, the spacing, font size, writing expectations, that kind of stuff. But I wanted to be upfront and tell you that we're going to be doing an essay later this week where you're going to be applying what you're learning in our teaching today. So next I want to look at just what are soft skills and what are hard skills. I found a definition that I thought was helpful. Soft skills are personal attributes that enhance an individual's interactions, job performance, and career prospects. So they're things that you have within you that are going to help you with your interactions with others, your performance on the job, and career options that you have in front of you. Hard skills are a little bit different. These are about your skill set and your ability to perform a certain type of task or activity. So soft skills are things that are going to work in many, many jobs versus hard skills are really going to focus on the profession or the career or the job that you are considering. It's often said that hard skills will get you an interview, but you need soft skills to get and keep and be successful at a job. So hard skills might be the things that you learn if you go to college. You might learn a lot of hard skills there, but you're going to need the soft skills that we're going to talk about in a little bit to be successful and to keep the job. So I'm just going to share an example because I've spoken to you several times about the job that I had before coming here, where I was the director of the Early Childhood Center here at Kishwaukee College. So some of the soft skills that I had that helped me to do that job the best that I could would be my leadership, just my ability to lead others toward a common direction. Communication was something where I was able to listen to people. I was able to speak to others, to communicate clearly, I think. I was hardworking. Hardworking was something that helped me to get all the different things done that needed to be done. I was creative. Both I got to build some different things for the Early Childhood Center. I got to create a lot of spreadsheets and forms and different things like that for helping the business to run smoothly. So creativity was important. Care for others was another soft skill that I believe I had that helped me. I was able to care for children, care for teachers, care for parents. Curiosity was a big one. I was always wanting to kind of learn more about how children learned and how early childhood centers performed well. Enthusiasm, my ability to plan, etc. So those were some soft skills. Nothing there was something that I had to go to college to learn. Those were all skills that I was able to kind of develop and work on, and I still continue to develop and work on those soft skills. Now I want to contrast that a little bit with hard skills. So hard skills are those things that I went to school for. So I could learn about child development, just learn how kids progress in all the different areas of development. Another hard skill was the ability to create and follow a budget. So I was able to take a class on early childhood center management, where I learned more about budgeting and how to do that. Writing skills was something that I learned in college when I had a communications class and I did writing. I learned about curriculum planning, and I learned about how to create different systems for getting things done, whether it's getting accredited or advancing in the Accelerate system. So just creating systems for getting things done. So I share this example with you because I think you know me and know some of the work that I've done, but I wanted to be able to contrast for you the difference between soft skills and hard skills. Next, what we're going to look at is 25 questions to help us to focus on soft skill development. These questions are going to look very familiar with you or to you because these are the same questions that you answered when you did the survey earlier this year where you were telling us what you knew about soft skills. So we're going to go through the questions and I will share the answers with you and then talk briefly about each question and why it might be important. First question, which of the following is not an example of nonverbal communication or body language? Your facial expression, how you talk to others, hand gestures, eye contact, or body position or personal space. So I will give students in class a little bit of time to look at those ones. And as we do this, I would encourage you to look at which ones of those are done with our body and which of those are done with our mouth. One of those is verbal and the other ones are nonverbal. So the correct answer on this one is B, how you talk to others. That would be verbal communication, whereas the other ones are nonverbal. This little chart that I had pop up here, I guess it's a pie chart, it shows verbal is 35% and nonverbal is 65%. So people way smarter than me have studied communication, and they've found that about 35% of our message comes from the words we say, but 65% comes from our voice tone, the expression on our face, gestures, what we're doing with our hands and our arms. So nonverbal is very important. So it's really important for us to focus on creating good nonverbal communication to match our verbal communication as well. So verbal and nonverbal are a package deal, so they both go together always. Question 2. If your workplace has a rule that you cannot be on your cell phone, how important do you think it is for you to adhere to this rule when there are no customers around? Not important, somewhat important, or very important? Think about that one. And the correct answer to this one is very important. If a job that you have has a rule about something, it's very important that you follow that rule. So if they have a no cell phone rule, it's important that you follow that rule. I had pop up on this slide the first generation iPhone that came out in 2007. So that would be only 16 years ago that the first generation iPhone came out. And now I think we're on number 12 or something like that. So a lot of iPhones have come out since then. Question 3. Personal phone calls while you're at work should be made only on your personal cell phone, avoided except in emergencies, made only when you're not busy, or all of the above. So think on that for a moment. When should phone calls be made at work? And the correct answer for this one is avoided except in emergencies. Even if we're not busy, we're supposed to be doing work and not supposed to be on our cell phones. So emergencies would be the only appropriate time. I remember when I was the director of the center, and if a teacher had a sick child at home where somebody else was caring for them, they would often tell me that so that I would understand that if they had an emergency phone call, that would what it would be about. So avoided except in emergencies. Our fourth question states this: constructive criticism of another person is best done via, and I'm going to give you the choices in a minute, but first I want to provide a brief definition of constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is providing feedback in a manner that acknowledges both the positives and where there's room for improvement, instead of solely focusing on the negatives. The focus of providing constructive criticism is offering useful advice that can be implemented for better results. So as a teacher, I try to provide constructive criticism when I grade your papers. When I grade assignments that you do, I try to point out the things that I see that are good, as well as give you some opportunities for what could be strengthened. Our choices here are: constructive criticism should be done through face-to-face interaction, through a telephone call, through a social media post, through a text message, or by telling a group of friends. So which do you think is the best way if you want to provide some constructive feedback to a coworker? The answer to this one would be face-to-face interaction. Face-to-face is often better. It's something that all of us, I think, including me, want to get better at: face-to-face interaction. Fifth question: how long do social media posts last? So I put a picture here of a bunch of different social media. Some of these probably don't exist anymore, and there might be some that are not in this picture. But how long do you think social media posts will last? A is until you delete them, 30 seconds if you're on Snapchat, 1 year, or forever. Which do you think is the right response for how long social media posts last? Oh, there was another one: until you close, delete, or cancel your account. And the correct answer provided for us was that they last forever. And so my encouragement to you as your instructor and as kind of your advisor is to be really careful with what you put on social media, because it's going to be there forever. You may be embarrassed by it someday, but it may also be something where a future boss that you might have might look at it and see something that they don't feel comfortable with, and you might not get a job because of something that you put on social media. It lasts forever. Our sixth question: how should you tell a manager that you are sick and unable to make it to work? A is following the guidelines given by your employer. B is through a text message. C, email. D, phone call. Or E, Snapchat. So think for a moment, which do you think is best there? And the correct answer for this one is A, following the guidelines given by your employer. So some employers might say it's okay for you to text them. Some may say it's very important that you call them. When I was the director at the Early Childhood Center, I would allow people to call me. I asked them to call me, and they had to call me at a certain time, by a certain time in the day, so I would be able to figure out what I was going to do in their absence. So you just want to make sure to follow the guidelines given by your employer. Question 7. Experts estimate that 85% of your workplace or career success comes from your ability to get along well with other people. So pictured here, a couple of people not getting along very well together. And this is a true-false question. So do you believe that 85% of your workplace success comes from your ability to get along with other people? That is true. In every job I've ever had, getting along with other people helps some people to be successful, and it can lead to the demise of other people. So it's very important to get along well with others in your workplace. Question 8. Team members should rely on the leader to keep overall goals in mind. So is it the leader's job to keep the goals in mind? True or false? And this one would be false. Goals are things that the entire team is going to work on together. So it's not just the leader that needs to know what the goals are. Everybody needs to know the goals so they can work on them together. Question 9, I will be judged by what I wear in the interview. I wasn't sure what kind of picture to include here, so I did a picture of some ties. I have never worn a tie to an interview because the nature of my interviews haven't been that formal. I've always dressed nicely and dressed professionally because, yes, it does matter what you wear in the interview. So the response to this one is true. You're going to be evaluated based on how you dress going to that interview, and we're going to see a neat video on that tomorrow. Number 10, the best person to be a leader on a team is the most talented member of the team. True or false? This one is actually false. Everybody on a team can contribute a lot. So the leader doesn't have to be the most talented. The leader might just be somebody who's good at soliciting ideas from others and good at getting people to work together. That doesn't mean they're the most talented. That means they have the ability of getting people to work successfully together. Next question, Snapchat is a secure way to send messages. True or false? And this one is false. It is not a secure way to send messages. Next question here. It's allowable for managers to enter into a romantic relationship with their employees. What do you think on this one? True or false? This one is definitely false. The manager has to be able to supervise the employee, and having a romantic relationship with them would not allow that to take place. Number 13, you have to be able to agree with all the members on your team in order to be productive. True or false? Again, this one is false. You might not always agree with everybody, but sometimes that's where the best ideas come from because you're talking out the ideas, you're figuring out how to compromise, you're coming up with the very best solution. Question 14, each member on a team must have some degree of respect for all other members in order to be effective. True or false? This one hopefully is pretty obvious. It is true. We need to have respect for each other to work well as a team. We may not always be best friends with everybody on the team, but we need to respect each other and each other's opinions. Question 15. Having poor handwriting affects your ability to communicate. True or false? This one, the answer provided is true. I have the worst handwriting where I have a hard time reading it myself. I don't think it's really hindered my ability to communicate, however, because I am able to type really well. So this one they told us is true, but I'm not sure I totally agree with it. Question 16. You must be an adult to be a good leader. True or false? This one is, of course, false. You have leadership skills whether you know them or not. Some students are kind of born leaders and they can lead others, and so you don't have to be an adult to be a good leader. Question 17. When in an interview, you should address the interviewer. You should address the interviewer formally, like Ms., Mrs., or Mr. This is another true or false. And the answer to this one is true. We're not sure what they want to be called, so when somebody came in for an interview with me, they should call me Mr. Kimmel, and if I want for them to call me Steve, I would just say, oh, you may call me Steve, but you always want to start off with Miss, Ms., Mr., etc., just so that you are not disrespecting them. Question 18. Smoking cannabis or marijuana is not a big deal because everyone does it. Employers don't care anymore. Do you disagree with this statement? Do you somewhat disagree? Do you somewhat agree that it's a true statement? Or do you totally agree that employers really don't care about this anymore? The answer provided for this one is disagree. Employers may view this as a big deal. Anybody working in childcare cannot be under the influence of any kind of substances when working with children. So that would be a big deal in the childcare world and in many other employment worlds. Question 19. Everyone uses swear or vulgar words sometimes, so I shouldn't change the way I speak to my boss. Do you disagree? Do you somewhat disagree? Do you somewhat agree? Or do you agree that it's okay to just use my regular language when I speak to my boss? This one again is disagree. We want to make sure that we use polite and proper language when we're speaking with our boss, when we're having an interview. I think really when we're speaking with anyone. Question 20, only 5 to go. When scheduled for a time to be at work, it is best to get there immediately at the time I'm scheduled to work, be there a couple minutes late, and that'll be fine. Be a couple minutes early to get prepared for the day, or D, any of the above is acceptable. Think about this for a moment, and the correct answer is C, be a couple minutes early to get prepared for the day. I always told my staff that at their start time, I wanted them in their classroom and ready to begin working. So that means they got there early, they put their coat away, they used the restroom if they needed to, that kind of stuff. So they were ready to greet children and get working at the start of their work shift. Number 21, you're assigned a group project. All of your group members agree on how to do it, except for you. How do you react? I will go along with the plan, but I will make sure to let others know I do not like it. I should ask to be put in another group. Even though my plan was not chosen, I'll be a productive group member. Or every opportunity I have, I will be critical of how the project progresses since it was not my idea. This one, the answer is C. Even though my plan was not chosen, I will be a productive member of the group. So we're not always going to get our way in groups. Sometimes we're going to go with somebody else's idea. And our job then is just to try to contribute, try to be as productive as we can to help the group to succeed. You know your teacher or instructor or manager is 100% wrong about something. What do you do? Realize that it's not my problem if they're wrong, and they need to handle the consequences of their error. Gather evidence or facts to present to the teacher or instructor or manager to show them their error. I will be quick to point out the error and let them know that they are wrong. Or D, I should consider the timing and find a good moment to talk to my teacher, instructor, or manager to discuss the situation. This one, the best answer is D. Look for the right time to talk with them about the situation. Number 23. How do you stay motivated when working on something that just doesn't interest you? I will work very quickly to get the work done, regardless of the quality, because I don't have to worry about it. I will try to stay motivated, but I usually don't get things done on time. I will set a goal for myself to get something done in smaller amounts and give myself a reward for reaching that goal. Or If I tell myself I will get something done, let me say that again. If I tell myself that I will get something done, it will happen sometimes. Kind of a tricky question. The correct answer provided for us is C. I'm going to set a goal for myself, get something done in smaller amounts, and reward myself for reaching the goal. So if you're not that motivated, you're going to figure out how you can kind of self-motivate yourself by giving yourself some rewards after meeting different goals. Two more questions. What do you do if you realize you've made a bad or wrong decision? I've done this more than once in my profession. I first try to fix the problem, then look to review the decision and work on a better plan to move forward. Since I rarely make a bad or wrong decision, I really don't need to worry about it. If I make a bad or wrong decision, I will apologize for it. Or D, mostly I try to make it right, but if I cannot make it right, I try to hide the fact that I made a bad decision. The best answer that they provide for this one is I first try to fix the problem, then look to review the decision and work on a better plan to move forward. So while they say that this is the best one, I also believe that it's important to apologize to people. If I've ever made a decision and it's a bad decision and it impacts the work of others, I'm going to apologize for it because we all do make mistakes and we need to live up to those mistakes. And our final question on this section is, you notice a coworker is doing something which could damage the company. If it continues, as an employee, you should leave the coworker a note to stop their actions, discuss the situation with the coworker supervisor and share your concerns. You are not a supervisor and it's none of your business. Or discuss the situation with your coworkers to see what they think. The answer for this one provided to us is discuss the situation with the coworker supervisor and share your concerns. So this may be the better approach. I think it really depends on how well you know the coworker and if it's something that you could talk with them about first, because nobody really likes when you go to the boss first, but it really depends on the situation, how severe it is, and how well you know the coworker. So those were 25 questions to get us thinking about kind of interpersonal skills and things like that. Now we're going to do a self-assessment, taking a look at how we interact with others. For the statements on the following slides, please consider how you typically interact with others. I always do this, most of the time, about 75% of the time. Sometimes I do it about half and half. I rarely do it, only about 25%, or I never do it. So I'm going to try to go through these a little more quickly. Regularly doing the following things may contribute to your success in life, school, and in the workplace, both now and in the future. If the following behaviors are a challenge to you, I encourage you to consider what you can do to strengthen your interactions with others. There's one that we're going to read here about having eye contact with others. And sometimes it's hard to have eye contact with others, but if we know that that's important, we can work on strengthening that. So here are those behaviors. The first two slides we're going to look at are things that we want to do, and the last slide is things that we want to avoid doing. So good things to do. I greet others, friends, teachers, family members, coworkers when I enter the room. I am helpful to others without being asked. This might be at home, at school, or at work, just being helpful to others. I make eye contact when talking with others. So if I'm having a conversation with others, I try to look in their eye. I demonstrate friendly and welcoming body language. And as we learned earlier, body language is a big part of the communication that we have. So how I position my arms, how I'm standing, what my face is doing, those are all friendly things that we want to do for body language. I maintain a good balance of participating in discussions and letting others talk. We've all been in discussions where the other person wants to do all the talking, and that's really frustrating. So we need to make sure we balance listening to others with sharing ourselves. I demonstrate leadership skills by working towards solutions and taking charge in a positive way. So leadership skills are something for everybody to work on, and I continue to work on my leadership skills as well. Next one, I take pride in my work at home, school, work environment, wherever this is, to take pride in the work that you do. And I always encourage you as students to take pride in your current job. Your current job is being a high school student, so take pride in how well you do your assignments. Take pride in how well you pay attention in class. Take pride in how well you work with others on group projects. I want you to be proud of the work that you do. I let a teacher or boss know if I have a serious concern about someone else's behavior. This might be a classmate or a coworker. Again, they encourage us to let somebody know if we're concerned about someone's behavior. I especially think about this with high schoolers. If you're ever in a situation where you're being bullied by another student, to make sure and let someone know, be it probably your teacher or administrator. Another thing, I am attentive during class and maintain a positive attitude regardless of my interest in the subject. So this is a challenging one. We're going to have some subjects that are fantastic and fun for you, and some are going to be kind of dull. So try to maintain your interest independent of what the subject is. Another interaction skill, I communicate well with those I am working with directly. So I communicate well if we're working on an assignment or in a work environment. I am able to listen to constructive criticism about my work, school, or workplace and respond well. So remember, constructive criticism is the goal is to help you to learn and do better. So it's not something where somebody's just on your case about something, but they're truly trying to help you get better. I feel that I can always learn something from someone else. I can learn from other students, a teacher, a boss, a coworker. So it's good to have that attitude where we can learn from others. Now this last slide, they're phrased a little bit differently. I post things on social media that I regret and may even delete. So that's something we want to avoid doing. We want to say we're down at that 0% on this one, that I never post things on social media that I regret later. When I feel that I know a lot about a subject matter, I don't feel the need to pay close attention in class or in a work environment. So we want to say that this is a 0 because we always want to pay attention in class and in our work environment. If I'm having a bad day or struggling with a personal issue, it affects my work. So this is a really, really tough one, especially in the work world where you might be having a lousy day, something might not be going well at home, and it's really difficult to leave home at home and have a good attitude at work. But you want to try to leave your bad day at home so that you can perform well in your job. I am on my cell phone during times I know I am not supposed to be in class or at work. So hopefully you're going to do a 0% on this one. I think in reality, we're probably, none of us are at 0%, but we don't want to be at 100%. We want to be as close to 0 as we can so that we can be attentive in class and at work. I have a hard time going for a period of time without checking my cell phone. I know that this is a challenge for all of us. We want to know what's going on and don't want to miss out, but we want to minimize that as much as we can so that we don't miss out on things. I tend to blame others when things go wrong. I often feel it's not my fault or my problem. So we want to take ownership when we make a mistake and not really be into blaming others because all of us make mistakes from time to time. All right, to summarize, a goal of KEC and its instructors is to help prepare high school students for future occupations and careers. That's why we're doing what we're doing here. We want to help you to be successful in high school and in your future. Part of doing this is to help students recognize and develop skills that will help them to be successful employees. So we want to help you develop the skills of being on time, working hard, taking pride in your work, that kind of stuff. Those soft skills, we want to help you to recognize them, know what they are, and develop them. Part of doing this to help you be successful in a profession is to develop some skills needed to work effectively in the profession. These are some of those hard skills. So in early childhood, reading aloud to children is a hard skill. Setting up a good classroom environment is a hard skill. So we want to help you learn both soft skills and hard skills. The goal of today's teaching was to help you learn about soft skills and encourage you to focus on developing these skills as a high school student to have greater life and professional satisfaction and success. At the end of our presentation here is a time for questions and discussion. I thank you for viewing this.